Having a side hustle has become a very trendy topic in the last few years. More and more people are dabbling their feet into the entrepreneurial world and starting a side hustle of their own. Now, when it comes to side hustles, what people typically think of is the financial aspect of things. That extra income that they're going to generate is going to help them pay down debt or invest or just otherwise achieve their financial goals significantly faster than had they used that time and just sat on the couch watching Netflix. But there's a lot of benefits of having a side hustle outside of purely the financial side of things. So in this video, we're going to cover my top 4 reasons why everyone should have a side hustle. Hi everyone, my name is Ben, and this channel is dedicated to all things personal finance related, helping you earn more, spend less, and invest the difference. Now let's not waste any more time, let's get straight to the good stuff. So one of the reasons why I think that everyone should have a side hustle is that typically most people are very unhappy with their job. Survey after survey finds that the majority of people are unhappy at work. So if the majority of people are unhappy at work, then what is it exactly that makes people happy? Well, according to the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, it's not about the money, it's not about the fame or recognition. The single biggest contributing factor to someone's overall happiness is autonomy. And they define autonomy as essentially the idea that your decisions and your actions are actually yours and they're not dictated to you by someone else, some outside influencer. So when you have a job and a boss, they are the ones that are actually going to dictate what and how you're going to perform at the workplace. They're going to tell you that you need to be at work from 8 to 5 and that you need to do your job according to this particular set of rules, and they're going to be the ones to tell you what to do. You don't have the power and the liberty to go out and pursue your actions on your own. Now, maybe you have a few ideas in the workplace on how to make things better and more efficient, but ultimately you need your boss's approval in order to instigate any sort of meaningful changes in the workplace. You can't just pick up and do whatever it is that you want in a corporate setting. But when you have a side hustle, you are in control. You control all aspects of your side hustle, even down to the most minute details. And it starts at the top. So unlike your job, which you probably got just because it pays really well, with a side hustle, you're able to get into a particular niche or a particular industry that you're actually passionate about. Not only that, but how you operate your business, when you operate your business, that's all your decision. And decision-making processes is very empowering. Feeling like you are in direct control of your life is directly linked to the release of dopamine, which is essentially the feel-good chemical that gives us that sensation of happiness and joy. The second reason everybody should have a side hustle is that your chances of being successful are actually dramatically better with a side hustle than if you had just jumped into the deep end and became an entrepreneur. Now, we like to think of entrepreneurs as the rebel, renegade, space cowboys that just throw caution to the wind and do whatever they want. But that's really not the case. Now, while it's true, of course, that entrepreneurs do take some level of risk in starting a business, that's a calculated risk. They're not just needlessly taking risk just for the sake of taking risk. Over a 15-year period, the Academy of Management Studies surveyed about 5,000 entrepreneurs. And these entrepreneurs were broken down into 2 categories. Entrepreneurs that were starting a new business as a side hustle versus entrepreneurs that this was going to be their new sole job in life, that this is what they were doing. They were jumping straight into the deep end with it. And what they found over this 15-year period was that the people that operated initially as a side hustle ended up about 33% more successful. And that may seem a little bit counterintuitive. You might think if you were doing it full-time right from the get-go, you would have more time and energy and resources devoted to it for a longer period of time so that you could grow your company faster, better, stronger. But that's not realistically the way it works. So the best example that I can give to you guys is you're all probably roughly familiar with the game of poker. The game of poker is inherently risky. You do have the ability to lose some money. But if you were playing a friendly weekend game with your buddies while drinking a beer, and the entire buy-in, the entire amount of money that you put on the table was only 20 bucks, then that's a relatively stress-free poker game. You can play a lot of hands and you can experiment with your strategies. Maybe you typically play really tight, you only play the really premium hands, but when a lower price point buy-in comes around, you can just be more free to try out new theories and new strategies. Maybe you try to bluff more, or maybe you try to play some off hands that you wouldn't normally play. You just have the freedom to experiment and find out what works and what doesn't. But when poker gets really serious, like the World Series of Poker, things can get really tense and really stressful. Thousands of people come to participate in the World Series of Poker, and when it comes down to the final two people, they literally come out and dump the cash on the table. In this picture, this gentleman is playing for over $8 million. You can see the cash sitting there on the table. Does it look like this gentleman is having a lot of fun? Does it look like he is experimenting with his strategies and finding out what works and what doesn't? You see, the problem with jumping straight into the deep end with the entrepreneurial side of things is that realistically you're an adult and you got bills and you got responsibilities. You don't have time to experiment. You don't have time to necessarily see what is best for the company. You're making decisions based on right here, right now. What's going to get you the most money because you got rent to pay in a couple of weeks. So by starting a little bit more free and lackadaisical, it actually gives you the ability to try and experiment and find out what is actually best for your company. And once you know what's best for your company, then you can start to devote more and more time and start to become a more permanent idea instead of a side hustle. The third reason that I think people should have a side hustle is that it helps to avoid lifestyle creep. Now, typically when you make more money at your job, maybe you got a promotion or something like that, you earn more money, and the natural response to earning more money is you want to spend more money. As you work your way up the corporate ladder, you start wanting a bigger and nicer apartment, or maybe you want to buy a house. Now you need to furnish that place with newer furniture because that busted up couch that you got on Craigslist is no longer good enough. You got to get a nice set of wheels. Your car just isn't good enough anymore. Now you want to drive a foreign import. You got to have a Lexus or something like that. So the more money that you make, the more that you naturally spend. And while there's nothing wrong with spending a little bit more money as you make more money, it's really easy to get carried away with things and start spending and living outside of your means. By spending more and more money, you're probably saving a little bit less and less. And this can be a problem because while it's really easy to start spending a bunch of money, it's really hard to start backtracking, because once you experience a little bit of luxury and a little bit of comfort, it's really hard to downgrade your lifestyle and go back to eating ramen noodles and frozen pizza like you did when you were a broke college student. I know a lot of people that will get a raise at work and that money is gone instantaneously. Like the day they hear they got a raise, they go and buy a new TV, or they schedule a vacation, or they lease a new car. They reward themselves for all that hard work and effort that they put in. But in doing so, they eliminated their entire raise for the year. All of that extra money that they would have made with this new raise is gone on the very first day. But with a side hustle, we tend to view this more as a temporary gig as opposed to our permanent job, which if we get a raise, then that's a forever thing, right? We're not going to get a demotion. So it's really easy to spend more money when we know that the year after and the year after that, we're still going to have that same high level of income. But with a side hustle, it's psychologically a little bit different. In the back of our minds, we sort of think of this as a temporary thing. And so it's much easier to actually save or invest or pay down your debt with that extra money, as opposed to starting this trend of lifestyle creep because this is a temporary thing. We may not have this extra income next year or the year after. And the last reason that I think everybody should have a side hustle is it's going to diversify not only your skills, but also your sources of income. So with a side hustle, you're going to not only learn the actual technical aspects of whatever industry or niche that you're in, but you're also going to develop a lot of personal skills as well. Maybe you're not very good at public speaking, but if you have to give a sales pitch or a presentation in order to pitch your idea as a side hustle, then that's going to grow you on a personal level. Maybe your side hustle means that you have to negotiate with contractors, suppliers, and distributors. All of these skills are going to make you better as a person, and quite often they are going to transfer back into your original job. So you're able to take all of these newfound skills and apply them back to your original job. That's going to make you a much better employee, which in turn is going to dramatically increase the probability of you getting future promotions or pay raises. Maybe it's just as simple as finding the self-confidence to know that you have created something and you have started and built something from scratch. That confidence is going to carry over into everything that you do. Not just your job, but it's going to carry over to your personal relationships as well. And not only is all of this going to diversify you as a person, but it's also going to diversify your income stream. The future is never guaranteed. Just because you've worked at one particular industry for the last 30 years, that doesn't mean that the industry is still going to be around tomorrow and the day after. What happens if you get suddenly laid off after working one particular job for the last 30 years? What would you do then? Having additional skills and streams of income can help you weather the storm. Maybe that means that you make the jump and start doing your side hustle full-time, or maybe you just use that income from your side hustle to get you through that rough patch until you can find another good paying job. So no matter what exactly you choose to be your side hustle, my biggest piece of advice is get up, get off the couch, get active, and start hustling. If you like this video, please be sure to subscribe, leave a comment down below, give it a thumbs up. It really helps the YouTube algorithm and helps channels like this grow. And as always, I'll see you all again next time. Thanks.